Welcome back to my innovative marine 25-gallon lagoon build, or what I like to call my bad habit. Um, so, a lot of things have changed in the past 3 weeks. I'll start off with the Phosphate RX. Um, so basically this is a short review mixed with my new equipment that I got. So the Phosphate RX, tried it out, and the experience was with it that it didn't really have any really negative side effects. It didn't harm my fish, didn't harm the coral, and believe it or not, the first day I had it in there, for some reason, some of the coral opened up more than I ever saw it open up. So it almost enjoyed it. I don't know how that's possible, adding different chemicals to the tank, but it did something to where they appreciated it somehow. But the thing was that, just to sum it up, it really didn't work. It didn't work for me, but I did not do one factor that people recommended, which was having a 10 micron sock to filter it back in, because I just had no way to add a 10 micron sock to filter in. There was no 10 micron socks to add to the back of this filtration. Not that I know of. I just didn't want to, create new plumbing to kind of just do Phosphate RX. And a lot of guys were just saying if you had a good skimmer, which I thought my eShop's Nano skimmer was doing pretty well and thought it might be able to handle it. So at the end of the day, without a 10 micron sock, I guess from my experience, from what other guys are saying, is that, and it seemed like everybody with a 10 micron sock that was able to filter out the what do you call that stuff, the I don't know, the white cloudiness that binds to the phosphate, without having a way to filter that, it's probably not going to work too well. And that being said, when it was still in the water column, it actually seemed to introduce the phosphate back into the tank, plus whatever was building while it was trying to accumulate. So basically I would, about a day or 2 days later, I would check the phosphate. There was no readable phosphate in the tank, but I thought everything was good and expected algae to die. But what I noticed was I went to go clean the glass, and no joke, 30 minutes later I had film algae right back on the glass. I mean, I would look down the side of the tank and I could see the film. It was almost like I could see the algae growing, and I do go by that a lot, because you can test, and that's something, if any of you newbies don't know, you can test for phosphate, and it will be binded into the algae or somewhere else in the tank, in some kind of I don't know, into the bacteria, but it will be binded in the tank somewhere else, either inside the rock, and it won't be in the water column, but it is there. And you won't be able to test for it. But what you can see is, if you start building up algae on the glass within a day or two, you are pretty much guaranteed to have a type of phosphate or nutrients that will supply a nuisance algae. So you can possibly begin to have an outbreak of nuisance algae if your glass is building up that algae quite rapidly. And as soon as you notice that, which if you watch one of my earlier videos, I noticed that, and I was concerned because I knew what could happen, and which it did start to happen, where I started to grow algae on the sand bed. Yeah, sorry, I'm gonna ramble a little bit. There's a lot of stuff to get in. So what I did was I went back to the old ways, and I've never found anything to work better than Rowaphos. So it was time to stop playing around, and so I got Rowaphos and bought the desktop Innovative Marine Aqua Gadgets desktop reactor. That's a mouthful. And that is the best way I found to run Rowaphos in a tank, 20 to 40 gallons, maybe even 50 gallons. It's just so much easier to run that fine Rowaphos in that reactor. I actually had the Rowaphos before I got this little reactor in the larger Aquamax hang on the back reactor, and it was just a mess to rinse it out, just a lot of water volume to run RODI and just do all that. And when this little reactor, I can basically put it into a cup, a large cup, and just constantly pour RODI in there until it runs clear and it's good to go. So yeah, and as you can see, once I started doing that, I cleaned the glass, and it would take 5 days to a week until I had to clean the glass again. So that Rowaphos immediately strips phosphate out like nobody's business, and immediately the hair algae started to lighten in color. I still have spots. It's going to take a while, but you can see it's receded. It was spread all around down here. The only white spot I had was like right here, this little spot here. All the sand was becoming darker and darker, and it was gonna get to a point where it was gonna get on the rocks. So yeah, it was time to stop playing again. So yeah, I'm a firm believer in Rowaphos, because every time I add that stuff, it just solves that issue. Like, it's just what it's meant to be. So I don't have a need to try any BRS high capacity or anything equivalent to that. I just buy Rowaphos. Some of the stuff Rowaphos I think's been out there longer than most GFOs. So that problem is resolving. Another thing is I sold the Kessel light. The tank being so shallow, I couldn't reduce the surface agitation enough to reduce the shimmer, and the shimmer was just killing me. I really enjoy my tank, and I will sit by this tank for hours and stare and do stuff, and the shimmering just started getting to me. I was actually at one point getting a headache if I sat in front of this tank too much. It's just a constant lights flashing in your eyes. You can see in the video there's shimmer, but nowhere near the magnitude the Kessel had. And the Kessel also had it was like a projector almost, so it had dead spots to where you can see this coral right here. It had the whole back side. You can see it was kind of lighter in color, but it was all white and dead on that back side of it, where you can see now not fully underneath it, but the whole back side was just white and dead, wasn't growing any polyps on it. But now after having this light on here for about 2 weeks, it's just completely back and colored up on that side of it. And a lot of coral did take time to acclimate. I'm not going to say the Kessel is a better light than this Ocean Revive, but it's definitely, the Ocean Revive is definitely not on quality as the Kessel. The Kessel spectrum had a definite better blue spectrum, and just the colors popped a lot better, which I'm still getting with this light, but nowhere near the Kessel. But on the other hand, I just can't do that heavy shimmering anymore. So next time I look for lights, I'm gonna get one with a spread. So I will be replacing the Ocean Revive, because it's not just up to par. It's fine, and I could go on forever with it, but I just really want that extra pop since I got spoiled with the Kessel. And I actually had to I actually blocked out a lot of the LEDs because this thing is super powerful. I didn't block out any of the blue channel, but I did block out a lot of the white and warm white spectrum on it, which is giving me a better color pop on it. So that's just a little tip. This is like a real aluminum duct tape that I put on there for high heat, but it really doesn't actually get hot at the bottom at all. And I actually opened up the Ocean Revive to see if I could disconnect those individual LEDs, but you can't. They are running in like a series circuit. So if I was afraid if I pulled one of those LED lights, the whole channel would not work. So yeah, I did that. If anybody has one of these lights and wants to experiment, you can see which lights I blocked out on that. But it is giving a good color spectrum here. But yeah, it's so much easier to look at, and you can actually see movement in the tank a lot better without the just strong strobing and flashing of the Kessel. Like you can see the torches kind of flow a lot better, and the fish a lot better. And there is a new, I think you call him a basslet assessor. I think that's the correct word. What I heard, it's rare, and he wasn't too cheap. But yeah, and then I also ended up deciding that the eShop's Nano Skimmer was doing a great job, but for some reason it would not pull out skim for a week or more, and just nothing. And I kept trying to even making it go wet skim and all that, and it just completely stopped. And I cleaned it, put it in, still wouldn't go, so I ended up going with the Aquamax hang on the back 1.5, and that thing is a freaking monster, and I am super satisfied in that purchase. And I'll get back here and show you just the turbulence that this thing runs at, and I pretty much got this 2 days ago, and it's cranking it out, and it's just, it has a water volume, like I did not know this thing was this big, but it basically, let me see if I can turn a light on here. Nope, can't do it. Whoops. It has a water volume of a skimmer, I can tell you, equivalent to a skimmer that fits in the sump, just because of the, I'm trying to show this here. Can't show it too good. But the foam head, I mean, it's just so much water volume, extra, I think it's almost an extra 2 gallons or a gallon that goes in there. And for this little tank, this is a monstrosity. I don't think, I mean, honestly, if I probably keep trace elements in here, I probably won't ever have to do water change. But I will. And this is, I've seen this thing for years, and this is about the most expensive hang on the back I think you can get at about $230. It's just a monster. I mean, I'll sit here and just watch this thing. That's how nerdy I am on this hobby. So yeah, but it is just cranking it out, and it fits in here pretty good. I had to switch sides and switch media around and put the Marine Pure on this side, and it all worked out. But this thing, so basically you just need an area where this plumbing here can fit into, and this hang on the back can hang on to without being interfered by any dividers, and that's about it. I can't see this not fitting in a lot and anything over a 10-gallon tank. But yeah, everything's nice and neat and compact and closed off, and it's absolutely quiet because it fits. The pump is actually internal, so you can't even hear the pump. You can't hear anything. It just, there's a slight rumble from the turbulence going on in that monster. But yeah, I was looking at the eShop's PSK 75 hang on the back again, but it just will not fit on a Nano, a Lagoon, a 25-gallon Lagoon, because it's just too tall, and it will hit the it'll hit the table here. If you have the stand for it, it probably would fit because it could just hang over the flush stand, but my table has a lip in the back, so I couldn't do that. But yeah, so this is about a longer video here. That's about it. If you have any comments or pointers or anything, go ahead and comment, but I'll keep updating on the progress of cleaning it up, and the progress of the Rowaphos and the new skimmer and the lights in the next few weeks. So subscribe if you haven't. Thanks for watching.